what I want to do is to invite the second speaker for this session. That is Dylan Livingston, who is the founder and CEO of A4LI. And if you're not sure what A4LI is, you're going to hear more and more about that. It is the Alliance for Longevity Initiatives. Dylan, the floor is yours.
Right. Hello, hello, Dublin. Thank you all for coming. I just want to give a little shout out to Aubrey and the Longevity Summit Dublin team. This has been a great event, and I'm excited for 2024. As was stated, my name is Dylan Livingston. I am the founder and CEO of the Alliance for Longevity Initiatives, and today I'm going to be giving you all some updates from Capitol Hill and explain how A4LI, I don't have my clicker, explain how A4LI is advancing longevity science in DC and beyond. So a quick introduction to A4LI. We are a 501c4 nonprofit organization with the mission to advance legislation and policies that aim to increase healthy human life expectancy and lifespan in the US with a focus on equitable access to next generation therapies. And I just want to break down this mission statement a little more. So our mission statement is vague, and we did that deliberately. There are a number of initiatives outside of the longevity ecosystem that, if successful, will increase healthy human lifespan. And we, as advocates of the longevity industry, want to work with all parties, all advocates, everybody who has this mission in mind. I also want to point your attention to the second part of the mission statement, focus on equitable access to next generation therapies. I think this is something that the field can probably do a bit better of a job on. One of the main counter-arguments that I see a lot for longevity science is that this, to the public, is perceived sometimes as a bit of a vanity project for the ultra-wealthy, and I don't know one longevity scientist or entrepreneur or investor that is seeking to create drugs that target aging for a wealthy elite. And so I think as an industry, we need to do a better job of getting out in front and dispelling that myth. So A4LI has been in existence for about 20 months now. We started in early 2022. We've accomplished quite a bit since then, both at the state and the federal level in the US. I'm going to run you guys through what we have accomplished on both levels. So in February of this year, we were instrumental in the formation of the Longevity Science Caucus in the House of Representatives in the US. This is a first of its kind bipartisan initiative. It is led by Congressman Gus Bilirakis, a Republican from Florida, and Congressman Paul Tonko, a Democrat from New York. The rest of the membership includes Dan Crenshaw and Michael Burgess, both Republicans from Texas, and Congresswoman Anna Eshoo from the Bay Area, a Democrat from the Bay Area. This is a great group we have advocating for our field. 4 of the 5 members of the caucus are also members of the powerful Energy and Commerce Committee, which has jurisdiction over biomedical research in the US. And the 5th, Michael Burgess, is the co-chair of the GOP Doctors Caucus. And so this is a group that understands the needs of emerging biotech fields. They are also in positions of influence and power to make some things happen for this field. So we are quite excited about the group we have. I'm also excited by the fact that this is not just a California-only initiative. It very easily could have been. A majority of the work in the longevity space is in California, but it's really great to see Texas and Florida and New York taking the lead on this as well. We have 2 more Democrats waiting in the wings, waiting to join. We are looking for another Republican member of Congress to step up and join the caucus as well to maintain that 4-4 bipartisan split. So stay tuned on updates from the Longevity Science Caucus. But the impact of the Longevity Science Caucus really can't be understated. It's a foundational piece for any sort of advocacy effort that's trying to go mainstream, especially when we're trying to do political and legislative advocacy and promotion. So stay tuned for more updates there, but I'm really excited to see what A4LI can do alongside the Longevity Science Caucus, and I'm excited to see what this field can make of this caucus, because frankly, a caucus is only as powerful as the advocates that are supporting it. So with that being said, you guys should all reach out and give a word of encouragement to the members. They definitely read it and see it. So that's what we did at the federal level. At the state level, we worked with State Senator Kenneth Bogner here in Montana to pass an expansion of right to try. Now, right to try is a federal law in the US that allows terminally ill patients to access experimental, preclinical, or clinical therapeutics. That's a great law, in our opinion, at A4LI, but people should also have the right to try to not get terminally ill as well. And so what we did in Montana is we changed the language, and now all patients in Montana have access to these experimental therapies. The one caveat there is if you are a healthy patient, you can only access drugs that are post-phase 1. It would be pretty silly to give healthy patients drugs that make them sick, so we wanted to add that measure there. This is a big win for Montana as a state. It's also a big win for the industry. Montana now theoretically could become a medical tourism hub and encourage people who want to try in the state. For the longevity industry, this provides two potential benefits in our mind at A4LI. One, it potentially opens up a market where companies can start generating revenue with their therapeutics, but also it could provide real-world data for the biotechs. And so we're quite excited. There is still work to be done. Ken and I are working on some legislation now that focuses on oversight and guidance, as well as incentivizing people to participate. Right to try in of itself is a somewhat politically controversial topic. I'm not sure if this is something that will be a nationwide law like the original right to try, but nonetheless, it's a great opportunity for the fields, and we're really excited about what can be done in Montana as a state. So stay tuned for updates on legislation there, and stay tuned for updates on what Ken is doing, and I will stop there. So our future, we got all of this done in 2023. So this year has been quite an important year for us, transformational in a way. We have a lot of momentum at our backs, but we cannot let that momentum fall to the wayside. It's up to us to capitalize on the moment. So with that being said, our next initiative that we are focused on is setting up and organizing a congressional briefing in the House of Representatives in January of this year. The reason that there is not a specific date yet is because the congressional calendar has not come out yet, but stay tuned, bear with us. We are working with the politicos on that. This was explicitly requested by the leadership of the caucus in order for them to feel more comfortable sponsoring and promoting legislation that is pro-longevity. We at A4LI want to make a bigger deal out of this briefing, and so we're going to be hosting a 2-day event. Day one will be a fundraiser dinner where we'll bring together members of the longevity industry as well as DC politicos and insiders. I think getting those two groups in the same room could be potentially huge for the field. I can only imagine what could happen, but I think getting those two groups in the same room is a good thing. And then day two will be the briefing. After the briefing, we will set up targeted meetings, one-on-one meetings with members of the caucus, local representatives of attendees. The goal there is to spread the longevity message and educate as many members of Congress as possible. This is a really great opportunity for the field. This is the spark that will ignite governmental action in the US, and so A4LI specifically is very focused on doing this and doing it right. Another initiative, developments on Capitol Hill that we're very excited for at A4LI is the establishment of ARPA-H. ARPA-H is a DARPA twin initiative. I'm sure many of you are familiar with DARPA. But set up for biotech and healthcare. It was the brainchild of the Biden administration, set up to be a cancer moonshot initiative, but since then it has kind of expanded in its scope. Now they are looking for any transformative technological healthcare breakthroughs, and to me that means they are looking for longevity science projects. And so what I am telling everybody in the industry to do is apply to their open broad agency announcement, which is essentially their open funding arm. It's a great opportunity for the field. They're looking for commercializable technologies. So if you are in that category, I highly recommend you apply, but even if you're not, I recommend you apply because worst case scenario is they say no, right? It's a 3-page application process and could help your biotech or your scientific project with runway or commercializing. So go to ARPA-H's website. We also have on a4li.org, if you go to our publications page, you'll see a one-pager that kind of walks you through how to apply to the open broad agency announcement. Another exciting development on Capitol Hill, the Senate Appropriations Committee in the last month came out with their bill for 2024. And geroscience was mentioned multiple times in the Senate Appropriations Bill, which is something that I think the field probably couldn't even have imagined a couple years ago. So it's quite exciting. Geroscience was mentioned in the Department of Defense section, in the NIH section, but the section that excites us the most is the ARPA-H mention. They called for 2 programs to be set up, one with a focus on aging biomarkers, one with a focus on epigenetic reprogramming. And I think many in this room would agree that the aging biomarker issue is the issue that is holding this field back the most in terms of clinical development. And so this could be huge for the field, transformational. We at A4LI are dubbing ourselves as unofficial scouts for ARPA-H, searching for the right program manager with the right background, skill set. Generally, they're looking for people with a PhD or an advanced degree and has spent a decade or so in industry. And so if you think you would be a good program manager with a background in biomarkers, please reach out to us. This is our mission and our goal to set this up. So I actually did, I'm looking now, I have 5 minutes left. I feel so on time right now, wow. I actually deliberately cut out a few slides here because I wanted to see if we could get some questions and comments from the audience. A4LI is set up to be a liaison from the industry to government, and we take what you say very seriously, and we take what you say and deliver it to members of Congress. And so getting your feedback is very important for us to do the best work that we can. So I'm going to try to save some time for questions if possible, but I want to go over ways that the industry can help support this initiative. There's a low-level way and a high-level way to support A4LI's work. The low-level way is by going to a4li.org and signing up to our mailing list. Political advocacy efforts require volunteers. They require sweat equity. They require people putting their heart on their sleeve and putting time into the effort. And growing our political network is very important, and growing the list of advocates we have is very important. So you never know when your voice is going to be needed for a political effort. My request to all of you, you guys are all longevity enthusiasts, advocates. You guys all should be part of the effort, so please go to a4li.org, sign up as a member of our mailing list, and we will best organize you for political efforts and advocacy. The higher level way to support A4LI's work is by becoming a financial supporter, a member, or a sponsor. Frankly, money makes the world go round. Money talks, right? And especially in political circles and in Washington, D.C. That's just how the world works over there. And for better or for worse, right? I mean, the bad part is we have to raise this money to have our voices heard. But the good news is there's a path forward. We can raise money and have our voices heard, right? And so we need to be supported by the longevity industry. We are for the industry. We need to be by the industry. And so we have on our website a number of membership options. The lowest level is $100 a year. If everybody in this room and everybody in the industry could support this work, we could go a lot further. And if you are an executive of a biotech or an organization, I would highly recommend that you become a sponsor of the organization so you can be more involved in the advocacy work that we do. Wow, 2 minutes and 41 seconds. All right. I think that's enough time for at least one question, right, David? Maybe? All right, cool. Or comments. I like comments better, because... Thank you all.
So a question over there from a Spanish politician.
Well, congratulations, Dylan, what you're doing. I am based in Spain, and I want to do something like that in Spain, because actually Spain has the second longest life expectancy in the world, just after Japan. And so how can we collaborate, and what are you doing with other countries? Because this is an initiative to be multiplied.
Absolutely. Well, I will say A4LI's scope is mainly focused on the US, just because of the way that we're set up. However, collaborating and competition between countries also is good for encouraging politicians to take action, right? And so I'm happy to help you, Jose, help set this up in Spain, because if we can show members in the US that things are happening in Spain, it might light a fire under their butts a little more. So I'm not an expert on the European political system, unfortunately, but I do know that there's language and ways to talk to politicians that's kind of universal. So we should definitely talk about how you're going about it in Spain. I believe you're also the European Parliament might be an option, right? Yeah.
I was candidate for the European.
Right. So the European and the U.S. system, they're different, but there's commonalities between both, right? And I think if we can get Spain and Europe kind of up and running in this longevity competition, we can encourage the U.S., which will encourage Europe, which will encourage. It's a self-serving cycle. So that's my answer to that.
Who's got the microphone? There was a question over here, I saw.
American politics is fabulously interesting at the moment. What's the knee-jerk reaction from Trumpistan and from the jihadists on the Supreme Court to longevity?
You can be diplomatic.
I'm going to be diplomatic. Look, what I found personally is that longevity, we have the luxury of having an issue that affects everybody, right? No matter if you're right, left, up, down, whatever it is, everybody wants to live longer and better, right, and healthier. So what I've found is that when we did a series of polls in the past that kind of helped us come to this conclusion, but the right wing of the US gravitates to different aspects of why longevity is good. For example, if you bring up the military, right, they will see that keeping soldiers keeping trained, experienced soldiers in the military is a good thing for the national security of the country, right? And if you can play into that mindset for them, you can go a lot further. Same with the Democrats, right? They have their concerns, like I mentioned in the beginning, that this is going to be an inequality thing, right? So, but then you bring up things like rapamycin or metformin, that metformin is cents on the dollar, right? So there are possible therapeutics that are cheap, and you just kind of have to play both sides and see who you're talking to. But the good news is everybody cares about this. You just have to find why they care. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting time in the U.S. It's fun.
And last question for now, over there. Hands high up in the air. Yes, in the middle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so given the current state of the healthcare industry in the healthcare sector in the United States, I would ask you to maybe comment if you have an idea of what the connection to the health insurance industry right now is in the States, and as well, is there anybody in the industry that has already connected to maybe supporting this?
So we are focused mostly on the biomedical research side. As A4LI grows in its abilities, we will look at insurance, Social Security, all the kind of governmental programs. But it's not something that we're focused on right now. We're looking to mainly increase funding for research dollars in the US and work with regulators to help get help get therapeutics to market as soon as possible.
Way to be successful, lose focus. And
Exactly.
you're focusing and very important topics. Thank you very much, Dylan.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you more on the panel.
Absolutely. Thanks.